Welcome to How Was Your Day podcast. We are talking about if there are truly bad people in the world. And basically I was arguing that I don't think that there are bad people. I just think that there's, mentally ill people, people that don't know better, people that have had horrible circumstances, people that had bad luck, all kinds of stuff that lead people to do terrible things. But I think, most people that do something bad, there's circumstances that lead up to that point, it's not people that just go do that for no reason. I'm not saying it's okay to do terrible things, but I'm just saying I have some sort of empathy for every person on earth. And Anthony was saying that he also thinks that most people aren't bad except for psychopaths, right?
Psychopaths. Yeah. And it's not necessarily always their fault that they are psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not always something you're born with. Right? Sometimes you can be abused into that mindset.
Yeah.
But I just think I'm just thinking dangerous and unpredictable.
Yeah, I feel you. So basically you're saying that, what I was arguing is that, I was gonna say that psychopaths, were people that, feel like they have to kill or whatever for whatever reason. They usually, like you just said, have a childhood of abuse and all this stuff, and, some people just are like that, and that doesn't mean that they're bad people, it's just the life circumstance, you feel me?
Yeah.
But, that doesn't mean that people should, be allowed to do terrible things, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It comes to a point where you kind of have to do the greater, what's greater good for society.
Yeah, and it's kind of scary to think like that, just, in that society mentality. And for me, just because I've always been kind of away from everybody socially.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it does come down to. I wish.
Why is that weird for you to think about?
Because I feel like in an ideal world, there would be a way to change that. In hunting, I'm sure they already do it in the military.
Do what?
Funnel. Is conspiracy theory time. Funnel our nation's psychopaths.
Yeah, I think that is a conspiracy theory.
Into being Marines.
That's controversial for sure, but I could totally see that happening because the people that you see in the army totally don't see, or I'm not saying all people in the army,
obviously,
but there are people in the army and stuff like that who really don't see the people that they're fighting as people.
Yeah.
Really, if they're Middle Eastern, they're not people. You feel me?
They're excited.
Kind of stuff, and they want to kill people and stuff. So yeah. I could see a little bit of. I can see
you
that
feel
a
me?
little bit. Yeah.
And maybe they don't do it intentionally, but maybe that's just what usually happens.
Well, it's kind of with the how cops are just what the job requires. It kind of gets people that want to do that. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like every job, whatever the requirements are, people that fit that requirement go to it. You feel me? So cops, you want to have people that are okay with having power and want to fight crime, aka poor people and minorities, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all this stuff, they have to fit that mentality.
Yeah.
To be a cop. Otherwise people don't become cops. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I kind of see that. I could see that.
Yeah, you feel me? I don't know. Yeah, so I do agree almost completely that there are no bad people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm missing something though. I feel like there are and are there even normal people? It's such a strange term.
Yeah.
Because everybody's so different. But
yeah.
So I was gonna say normal people who are intentionally bad and have no regrets naturally.
Yeah,
not necessarily psychopaths.
But also, I'm trying to think, what
maybe they're
is a person
spoiled,
that is intentionally bad normal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
argument.
gets to some weird areas. You feel me?
Yeah.
It's just hard to say.
Okay, so I guess we would say like a little white boy who grew up with a good family.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't too rich, but they weren't ever, worrying about money. And oh, so like
Mm-hmm. From
Light
Death Note?
Yagami from Death Note.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know, like that kind of deal.
I feel you. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're
Um,
saying.
I mean, given the right power, or I guess like motive
Mm-hmm.
in the real world, they could do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I feel you.
I don't know. I guess it's the ego that eventually takes somebody, but
I feel you. Basically, what I'm thinking is
yeah,
that
I'm making it complicated.
every bad person has reasoning for them to be bad, even if like they had a completely normal life. If they somehow don't feel empathy, that's not their fault, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Yeah.
Because something is wrong there. You feel me?
Yeah.
And if someone enjoys hurting people, something went wrong. You know what I mean? And then just in general, I don't believe in free will. So I just feel like everything. I'm not trying to excuse when people do bad things. Of course, it's bad to do bad things. It's revolutionary, huh?
Nice.
Thank you. But there's so many things that cause that. I haven't yet seen a case where I couldn't think of some way that I could empathize with someone that did something bad. And I think a lot of people are mad about that kind of stuff. Like nowadays, just with how we view people, we're always like canceling people and stuff like that. We've learned to view people as good or bad. Feel me? And I think that's a very dangerous mindset.
Yeah, black and white.
Yeah, like and people that do bad things are irredeemable. It's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just think that's a very dangerous mindset, and I don't think that that's conducive to a good future, especially because we're so, we're so like pro civil rights and stuff. But that doesn't extend yet to people that have personality disorders. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like people that are narcissistic and people that are sociopathic and stuff like this. And
They don't get the same.
They don't get that same thing. But people with like more acceptable mental disorders get those rights. I just think it's kind of hypocritical.
Like anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety, depression, etc. But if you don't feel empathy and stuff like that, you don't deserve it.
Interesting.
But it's like, how is that his fault? It could happen to any of us.
Yeah.
It just, by luck, I guess, that didn't happen, and we're fine.
Yeah.
But that's not anyone's fault,
So, what does that change in a society? Like, if you had it your way, what would be the are you just saying more socially? Like they would be more accepted and fought for in certain cases?
Yeah, it's hard to say like what I would do if I like could change society in that way, because what do you do? Because like I said in the beginning of the conversation, there needs to be something done eventually for the greater good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if someone like kills a bunch of people, if there's a person that kills a bunch of people, we're not going to just let that happen. We can't. You know what I mean? So, I mean, in general, I think that we as a society need to totally reform the prison system, for sure. And I think we need to, rather than have prisons, have mental institutions. And have people, believe that people can be reformed, and have therapists and all this kind of stuff, and like have more options for people to come back into society once they're out of prison, because there's so many cases where people go to prison for something, and then once they get out of prison, they can't get a job, they can't get a place, they can't, come back into society. So what do? They keep doing more crimes because they don't have an option and they don't learn anything new.
Yeah, so if we were to take money out of the military budget and put it into mental health, like this type of deal, I could see a completely different society. Like I could see like separate towns where you have criminals kind of work their own separate society. Like there could be
I think that they either used to have some of those or they do have some of those. It's few, I think, but you could probably look up like a prison colony, something like that.
I mean, you just have like a curfew, and there's kind of more freedom, but you're just in a different
I
place.
feel you. Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. I don't know what the logistics of that would be, but
I mean, obviously, yeah, a lot of thought would have to go into it. I'm just kind of like throwing things on the wall, but
it's kind of like the idea of like a halfway house.
halfway house was up.
Yeah, those are like houses where people that are coming out of prison go and they live for a while. Like they just live with other people that just got out of prison and they kind of like help them go back into society.
Oh, I see.
It's kind of like that, but like on a bigger scale, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be interesting. That would be good.
Yeah, and you just have a lot of guards, and then you can have this system where, when the prisoners reach a certain point, they can get a job in that society, and they can actually start making money for the real world.
I feel you. Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
And then you have your like license plate factory here, and then set of houses, and then whatever else the fuck they do. And here. I don't know. I feel like it's a really big problem that we kind of ignore because we don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Just like another one of those things. I think it's one of the big problems. Like we have, police reform that needs to happen, prison reform, and then amongst tax reform and what I can't think of anything else, but
yeah, I totally. I
school
totally
reform.
think that...
I think schools need to be reformed. Postal services now that they're being destroyed.
But yeah, I feel you, baby. I also agree that this is one of the biggest problems in our society is how we treat this sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just so much of the criminal population, so much of the criminal population is like poor people and minorities and mentally ill people and people that have been abused and stuff like this. It's just like, I think it's almost criminal to be doing this kind of stuff to people like this, because it just makes the cycle keep going. You know what I mean? Makes them commit more crimes, makes them, not get the cure they need, and makes them not be able to get a job.
It's more hatred towards society.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but we push them all into this place, and it's like, oh, forget about it. They're all in there.
Mm-hmm.
But, crime is all around us, and people that are struggling are all around us. You know what I mean? You never know what someone's dealing with, and it interlaces with all of society. It's all of our problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think we need to, in general, start having more empathy for each other and see each other, see the best in each other. And it's hard. But I just think that's one of the steps to having a better society. And that doesn't mean that we allow people to do bad things. That doesn't mean that we give people too many chances when they keep fucking up. But it just means that we have more empathy and acceptance for people that are disadvantaged.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion on that.
Yeah. I agree. I'm always for equality. Or equity, right?
I feel like equity is something else. But I'm not sure. It might be stupid.
Equity's like you treat everybody like if a short girl is really short.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you though. Like I'm thinking of like so she gets like a podium or something.
Yeah, it was something really tall, and then a tall guy gets like a little podium.
I feel you. So yeah, equity, I guess.
That's enough.
Thank you for watching. How was your day podcast?
No,
That's
no,
Anthony, and I'm Angel. Have a good day.